Good afternoon, Bill.
Good afternoon, Mark. Well, what a different occasion or a different place for today's podcast.
It's actually a magnificent spot, isn't it?
Sitting down here at Torquay in a really nice-looking shared office space, or co-working space probably is the word for it. Mm-hmm. The sun is out, and I would hope behind those trees I see over there, the surf might be rolling in, which means no tradie will be at work this afternoon. Right. Now,
so, why are we here?
We're here to interview two young ladies who run a fantastic business and have won some awards. And one of the awards that the girls won was the Geelong Excellence Business Awards, and the award was for corporate social responsibility. But I also noticed they've won many other awards.
And they also run it up in Business of the Year too, which is a great outcome for the
That's right.
Business Awards. So we have Sarah Gross and Kaz Mackenzie, and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, Sarah, let's start with you, as we're going to double tag as we go.
Yep, perfect.
Where did you go to primary school?
So I'm local to the area. I went to primary school for the first couple of years at Anglesea Primary, and then my mum decided maybe we should pack up our lives and go in a camper van around Australia, a little transit van. And so I did that for about 10 months. And then on the road, I went to a First Nations school actually for about a month. I'm not First Nations, but it was a good insight into the culture, and it was just like a really amazing experience.
Where was that?
That was in Wallace Rockall, a little community, maybe about 90 minutes from Alice Springs.
Oh, what a great
So
experience.
right in the centre. So that was pretty interesting.
Do you remember much about it?
Yeah, I remember heaps. I think at that age I was about 9, so I feel like you remember a lot. I remember at like normal primary school, like I feel like when I was at Anglesea or Belbrae, I was pretty sporty, but when I was at Wallace Rockall, I feel like I was not nearly one of the fastest. Everyone was really fast, but everyone was great. Like everyone made me feel really welcome. And at the time, like I was the first non-First Nations person to ever go there. And then I just saw a school and I missed people. And I was like, Mum, I really want to go to school. And then so she went to the principal and said, oh, can Sarah come for a little bit? And then the principal kind of said, well, this is a First Nations school, but I won't turn away someone that wants an education. And then that's how I kind of went there for a little bit.
How many kids there?
It was pretty small, probably like 40 in total.
That's really good.
Yeah.
What a great experience.
Yeah, so that was really an interesting one. And then we came back, and then I went to Belbrae Primary School after that.
And high school?
And high school I went to Oberon in Geelong.
Oh, okay. So you're stuck local the whole way
stuck
through.
local.
While you're at school, do you have any idea what you wanted to do in the future?
I was always really creative. I did really well in all the art subjects. I did actually do quite well in business as well. So it's funny that in hindsight, here I am in like a creative business. I really liked English as well. Yeah. And a lot of my role is like writing and pitching and copywriting. So kind of makes sense. But predominantly I was, I guess, that cliche art student hanging out in the art room. Covered in paints and
so you
ceramics.
Followed your passion right from the start.
Mm.
What about you, Kaz? Where did you start and go to primary school?
Yeah, so like Sarah, I went to a few different schools. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Melbourne in Bayswater, so I went to a primary school there. I think it was called Tintern. And then I moved up to Queensland in grade 4 or something and went to a school up there. Yeah, cool. Eden's Landing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And high school?
High school, Windaroo, which was out near Mount Tambourine, near Brisbane. And then on to year 11 and 12 at Alexandra Hills TAFE, where, I specialised in more artsy subjects as well.
And was that always your passion? Is that what you were you thinking? Were you thinking of a career in it, or?
Yeah, I think at that stage it's what I really loved doing. It's what I really excelled at, arts and music. So, I was kind of channeling down.
So, Mark, following passion again. That's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. And that's probably why you're so successful today.
Hopefully.
Because you're actually doing something you're passionate about, isn't it?
So where did you meet?
Yeah, so we met at the Gordon TAFE, studying graphic design a few years after we graduated high school.
Was that a good place for graphic design?
Yeah, we loved it. We're more than happy to give a plug to the Gordon graphic design program.
I'm always careful where I go with that, but anyway.
We had a great time there. So I was actually in the year above Cass at TAFE, and one of our teachers introduced us. He just thought that we would really get along. Like, we didn't have any classes together, but he just introduced us thinking we had the same passion and work ethic, and at the time, both, pretty high achievers in the course.
Well, I found a video online last night where that person you're talking about actually is on video talking about how he encouraged the two of you to get together and to pursue whatever you were studying.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've even seen this video, but I'll have to Google it.
It's in there because it sounded like a Spanish name or something.
Oh, Jose. He's amazing. We love Jose as well. I think all the teachers really kind of pushed us together. Like, I think it was inevitable. Like, I think Tibor, he was the original teacher that introduced us. And then, but everyone, just felt like we were like, destined to be friends.
Well, that's excellent. Now, tell me, when you were all going through this stage, did you ever have part-time jobs? And what was your first part-time job?
Yeah, I feel like I've always had many jobs to support myself over the years. Like, my very first part-time job was at Rose's Chinese restaurant in Anglesea. They also have amazing food, so I can give a plug to Rose.
Are they still there?
Yeah, they're still there. They've moved locations, but they're still an icon of Anglesea. But I've done lots of different things. I worked at the Sphinx for a little bit. But my first, when I was at, I sold mattresses at one stage. And when I was at the Gordon, I was working as a writer and a photographer for Forte, the local magazine.
Wow. That's good. Mark, I used to be in the Anglesea Surf Club back in the old days, right? And the Sphinx, I was in there the other night.
Oh,
There you go.
Funny?
And Cass, what about you? What did you do?
Yeah, I had a few different jobs on the go while I was studying. From working in a few bars to working down at the Royal Geelong Yacht Club. I managed the food and beverage
I did pick that up last night as we searched for you.
Yeah.
How did you fall into that, coming out of an art design type education?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, after year 12, I took a few years off just to focus on working, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go straight into design. So I started working there, and I excelled quite quickly to, some supervisor duties, and I kind of stayed there. It was really nice. It was a great team, and
it's different today, isn't it?
Very different. Yeah, very different.
It's magnificent.
Big buildings. Big buildings. They're building the sailing, or what was the sailing school? There's a whole new building going up at the Geelong Yacht Club.
Sailing school, new cafes, bars. It's amazing. Very good.
All right, so you're introduced at TAFE, at Gordon TAFE. At what stage did the two of you get together to get into business?
That wasn't for quite some time after TAFE. So we both graduated, and then we both actually went up to Melbourne and went to Monash as well and continued studying communication design. Again, I was in the year above Cass. And then Cass went and lived overseas for a little bit. And
all right, so where did you go?
I went over to the UK and then to New Zealand. And then I ended up landing a really great design job in New Zealand with a leading branding agency there. So I kind of stayed a bit longer. And
was that good? That taught you lots?
Oh, it was fantastic. The real experience of being in a studio.
That's what we call learned experience.
Yeah.
Right, and it's invaluable, better than any of the certificates you might have on the wall at any stage.
Exactly.
So what was the tipping point that got the two of you together to get into business?
Well, I think that we had always floated the idea of working together, but it was more of a pipe dream. It's funny because Cass, when she was in New Zealand, I had written her a Christmas card. And it said, "I can't wait to start a studio with you in, whatever the year was." And then it actually, that was the year that we started the business. But it was like 7 years earlier. And I'd forgotten all about this Christmas card. And once we had started the business, Cass sent me a photo. She's like, "Isn't that crazy?"
Well, that's a bit of destiny.
I know, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it's like one of those things that we just got along so well as friends, and we're really complementary yet quite different. In our approach to work, in our approach to design and creative thinking. And I think another kind of example of destiny was the project we first collaborated on. So Cass had a freelance inquiry, and then she had floated the idea with me to work with her on it. And then that project didn't end up going ahead. They hired like an internal marketing marketing manager to take control of that and manage that internally. But it just so happened that the internal marketing manager was my old creative director, who then reached out to me to then take on the project, and then I then reached out to Cass. So it all just worked out.
Another tip.
Exactly.
Another tipping
sliding door moment.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then
that's
when we worked on, this, it was like one of Australia's most ethical fashion labels, and we, finished that project. And I think by the end of it, we realised the work that we were creating together was just at a significantly higher level than what either of us would create by ourselves, because we just approached the project in completely different ways.
So did you sit down and have a business planning session, work out a plan, work out who's going to do what? Did you do all that?
I think that kind of came in time naturally.
Yeah.
We kept testing the waters. We both had other commitments at the time as well. It just happened naturally. So I think it took us about, from that project to really hitting the ground running, maybe 6 months.
During that time, what was your biggest fear?
Good question.
Yeah. Look, for me, it was leaving my job. I'd also just been offered a partnership role with them, and it was a scary time. I knew that we would do something really special if we got together. I knew it would be a lot of hard work, and I'm so glad that I took that job.
And you weren't afraid of hard work.
Said no to the offer and wanted to do it myself, and with Sarah as well. So
all right, there's a great book by a lady called Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear But Do It Anyway, and you probably should read that. But more importantly, Mark, the word brave
comes up again.
and if you look through the website for your business, what's one of the key words that comes up?
Brave.
Yeah, so talk to me about brave.
Well, I think for us, brave ideas and being bold has been something that we've always channeled. And as an example of Cass leaving, here she is at a crossroads, in theory, what she'd always wanted, giving like a partnership role in a leading agency or an opportunity to build that, but it's obviously less of a straightforward path. So I think that we've always had underlying feeling of leading with some intuition, like strategic intuition, and then really navigating how we can kind of approach that.
Because this is probably the third interview where the word brave has come into the fore. Now, Cass, just on that, the other saying I picked up off your website was purpose-driven. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I think we've been really fortunate in working with clients who are doing some pretty incredible things for either community or the world. It means a lot to us design is a really powerful tool, and we have a responsibility in how we use that to leave a lasting good mark. So it's important to us, not just only in our business, but also who we partner with. It's a bit of a ripple effect. We want to put positivity out there.
And one final word, Mark, sorry to hog the microphone. The final word was thoughtful. So explain thoughtful to us.
So I guess thoughtful is, design, like I said, has a really powerful impact. But it needs to be thoughtful. We don't want to just create things for the sake of creating aesthetically pleasing or beautiful things. They need to be strategic. They need to be thoughtful. They need to be aligned with the audience. And we spend a lot of time creating working backwards from who we're trying to talk to. And I think that's why we've kind of risen to success at the rate we have quite quickly, is leading with those values of being thoughtful in our approach, being brave with our ideas, being like inspiring our clients to be a little bit more brave in their application as well. And then obviously the purpose-driven nature of our work. We've been, really committed from day one that, you know, we want Storyfolk to be a positive ripple effect through our work, through our processes, through our team, through our impact. And I think that inspires like-minded clients.
And where'd the name come from?
That took a lot of time, actually. It was a funny weekend. We had a house in Jan Juc for the weekend, and we had hundreds and hundreds of post-it notes all over the wall. And then some of them at the time, like later in the night or early in the morning even, we're like, oh, this is it, this is amazing. And then we'd go to sleep and wake back up and then be like, oh my gosh, that's awful. So it was like a very iterative process of reflection. And then we narrowed it down to about 5, and then Storyfolk just felt really connected to what we're doing, because, you know, design and strategy is all about connecting with people, and there's no better way to do that than stories.
Well,
it's a nice name.
That's what we call ourselves, storytellers. Yeah, that's right.
So some of your clients that you're working with, I'll toss to you first, Kaz, if you like. Who are you working with at the moment?
Well, we're working with some great not-for-profits, a lot of clients in the technology space, healthcare. So we cover a really diverse range of industries.
We don't want you to give away your secrets.
Yeah, we've got some exciting projects on the go at the moment, though.
Yeah, we're always working on a number of projects at any one time, and that varies in size of project, because we always want to kind of make sure we can over-deliver on every project we take on. So we're, you know, really mindful of our own capabilities and capacity. So luckily for us, our clients, you know, are really excited to partner with us and are usually willing to wait to do that, because it's like such a big investment into their brand. So if there's a, you know, 4 or 8 week wait time, you know, they know that this will be something that they do once in the next decade, or, you know, sometimes forever. So what's 4 to 8 weeks? But at the moment, we've just finished a really exciting rebrand with Women with Disabilities Victoria. They're a great peak body for, and they're disability led, which is great. We're working with a great technology brand called IND Technology. We spoke about this slightly ahead of the call. They help pinpoint electrical faults before they escalate into catastrophes like bushfires or outages, you know, protecting communities, the environment. There's just like a huge ripple effect of the work that they're doing. But we work with all kinds of organisations, government, professional services, healthcare. We've worked on brands in like a primary healthcare brand in Canada, right through to a clinic in Kenya, right through to renewable energy in the Netherlands. Really just, you know, varies.
And how do you get your work? Is it word of mouth that's coming? You know, people rave about you because you're doing such great work?
We've definitely noticed a huge spike in, I guess, not necessarily the inquiry, because the inquiry's always been pretty consistent, but definitely a little bit in the inquiry, but more so in the calibre of the clients that are coming to us since we've, I guess, started really putting ourselves out there in the award scene, both in terms of like design work and design awards, because I think it's a really tangible way for our clients to compare apples to apples in terms of other design agencies, because I think, you know, we can all say, oh, we're amazing, we have great work, you know, and obviously everyone's websites reflect that, but, you know, competing for the same awards highlight, you know, who is leading and who is producing best practice work.
That's an interesting issue, awards, and one of the, as I say, the reason we met you was because we're judges on the Geelong Business Awards. What did you get out of going into those awards? What did you get out of it? And why? And there will be a secondary question, how should other people approach it? So.
I think with the Geelong Awards in particular, it was such a great opportunity on so many different levels. So it was a chance for us to reflect on, you know, our journey, our achievements, some things that maybe we have kind of missed along the way. But then also so many things to celebrate. It gave us maybe some key areas that we'd like to enhance the business as well. So
you got some learnings out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was just an invaluable experience. Well, we met some great people too.
Yeah. And it forced you by default to review your business.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. What are the other awards you have won in recent times?
So many.
Yeah, so many.
We've had a good year.
What's the one that goes on top of the shelf? Discounting the GBA awards?
Well, last year we represented Australia on an international level and we came away with a gold. So that was pretty impressive. Again,
what was that for?
So that was for a space technology brand, which sounds bizarre.
You touched on this when you were doing your award presentation.
It kind of, I think it, highlights the breadth of our work. If someone would have told me a decade ago that I'd be in a meeting with literal rocket scientists and people going around the table, and instead of saying, "Oh, I agree with that comment," they were like, "Oh, I concur." Like it was just like a bizarre but amazing experience. And then we got to support that brand, and then that particular project collected quite a few awards in Melbourne, Sydney, at the Australian Design Awards, and then went on to represent Australia, and then it collected 2 awards, a gold and a silver.
And where were you when you collected those?
Well, we actually didn't make the award ceremony because I think I was on leave at the time. So hopefully we've got another project that has just won 3 awards at a national level. So who knows, maybe a trip next year if we're finalists.
That'd be cool.
Hopefully, and with that comes free airfares and accommodation.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
Hopefully.
certainly will be there.
Exactly.
That's right.
So how do you two work together? What do you meet weekly? Do you meet daily? Does it just flow? Are you so attuned to each other that it just happens? What's the process?
It's probably a combination. I think the decade of friendship we have ahead of starting Storyfolk, we are quite attuned to each other, even more so than we probably realise, which I think works really well in our favour. Like we're able to complement each other on the strengths that we bring, and then also the weaknesses that each other bring. There's so many things that Cass can just do so quickly, and I'm literally in awe of her all the time. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I would have had like double the time and produced like something a quarter as good.
Likewise with Sarah, we're yin and yang. We complement each other really well.
Well, I'll put you on the spot now.
Yeah.
So, what are Cass's strengths?
She has so many, but Cass is
Key strengths.
Well, and I've said this on the record, and I'll probably keep saying this on the record. Cass is the best designer I've ever met in my whole life. Out of anyone I've ever met, I've met hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of designers in my career, and I wouldn't want to be partnered with anyone else. But she's just a talent. Like, she's strategic. She's able to take the client feedback and just weave it into something really tangible but aesthetically beautiful, but it's built on that strategy, which is it's a lot harder to do than you would imagine. So that's something that I'm always obviously
This wasn't
proud
meant to
of.
be a performance review, by the way.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm feeling pretty
So
relaxed.
let's put the shoe on the other foot now. What are Sarah's strengths?
I'm incredibly lucky. As I said, we're yin and yang. Wherever I lack, Sarah really makes up for tenfold. We really partner well. Sarah is an incredible people person. She's just an exuberant personality. You could put her in the room with 100 people and she'd get to know them on a deep level and remember everything about them. She's an incredible strategist and storyteller, and pairing that with visuals, it's always an unbeatable result. I think together we create just amazing work and really impactful work. So
the praise is now finished.
Yep.
Have you ever had a blue?
Oh, there hasn't necessarily been a blue, but there's definitely times, in business that you're like frustrated. I think, we work with tight deadlines. We really want to give like 110%. And I think the kind of beauty, but then also the grey area of being creative, there's not one single way of approaching something. So sometimes we might challenge each other on different directions, but I think in the end result of that, challenging each other only equates to better work.
And becomes a learning curve.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So specifically the Corporate Social Responsibility Reward, tell us about that. Why did you get that?
Well, really lovely judges like yourselves obviously saw
So
that...
we better put a disclaimer in here. I didn't judge you.
We didn't judge you.
Yeah. I guess for us, corporate social responsibility is something embedded into everything we do. Obviously, it's very evident by the work we take on, and so that's a really tangible impact of how we're creating positive change, aligning that to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. But I think beyond that, it's, our partnerships, it's our team, it's the way that, sustainability, equity, inclusion, we do represent, as a small team, quite a diverse minority as well, which is great. And I think that, for a small, I guess the feedback from some of the judges, for a smaller organisation, we were having the footprint of that was, unbeatable for organisations with, 500 plus, which is crazy. Obviously that shows that a lot, other organisations listening to this, so it gives you an opportunity to lift.
You're living your values.
Exactly.
In other words, as Mark knows, I always say to people that, signs on the wall become wallpaper, and you see the values written up on the wall, and you go and talk to the staff. What are you talking about? What's that mean?
Exactly.
And they don't know. So it's really heartening to hear that why you won the award and how you work together is you are living your values.
Exactly.
Tell us about your team. How many have you got in the team?
Yeah, so there's Cass and I, and then we have two other designers, and then we have a couple of developers as well. So it depends on what projects we're working on, but yeah, we're approximately a team of 6. Which is exciting. We're slowly growing, and I'm feeling confident that, we're on an upwards trajectory, which is nice.
So if we catch up with you in 5 years' time, what's going to happen? Where are you? What are you doing?
Paint the picture of where you are in 5 years' time.
You can take it away.
I'd like to continue on the trajectory we're going. I can see, I can see us getting to a really nice size and level, and continuing to work with some great clients.
Yeah, and that's an important question, because I always ask people, not always, but often, where's the sweet spot? Now, in 5 years' time, what's your sweet spot look like?
I think the sweet, like I said, I think we are heading in the right direction. We can't really fault the foundation that we've built, and I think we've really been thoughtful, like that word we spoke about earlier, thoughtful in our approach, which has allowed us to have really sustainable growth, which I think is why we were one of the finalists in the Geelong Business Excellence Awards for the Business of the Year. I think that, leading with your values, leading with good work, we're not going to compromise on over-delivering, and we really do build great relationships with our clients. We want to, I guess, leave a legacy in the purpose-driven space. We really want to do meaningful work, and we want people to feel like Storyfolk's a really great employer as well. We want to have a good culture, and part of that is, hybrid working. We love, Cass is a surfer. When you were talking about the surf earlier, I was like, oh no, don't tell her too much. You'll want to go out for a surf during this podcast.
Especially living in Torquay.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's important, especially as creatives, there's a higher rate of burnout. So, we're always looking for ways to mitigate that.
All right, well, just going on that, and we mentioned surfing. How do you get your brain relaxed and away from the pressure of work? What do you do outside of work?
You can answer this one first, because you're better at that.
That is absolutely.
So surfing, we just heard. Yes.
Yeah, or a yoga class.
Yes.
Always gets me a bit more mindful, or going for a swim, going to the gym. It's I think exercise for me.
It's a struggle. I feel like my brain never really turns off, which is both a blessing and a curse, because ideas come to me, at all times of the day and the night. I think living in Melbourne, I was extra ideas because there was just things happening all the time. I think moving to regional has allowed me more space and capacity, so I can take my dog for a walk after work or go for a swim before work. And I think these small little incremental shifts do help me, live a little bit less of a chaotic life.
So if I did a disc profile on you, it would be a very high D, I suspect. All right?
Potentially.
Yes.
So how do people get in touch with you?
So people can reach out to us on our website, which is www.storyfolk.com.au. They can find us on LinkedIn. They can call us. We're on all the different platforms. But website's obviously a great way of connecting, because you can have a look at, who we are and the work that we're producing.
Fantastic. Bill, great story.
It is a great story. I was going to ask you for some advice, but we don't need any now. We've heard the story. Or just one final question. Okay, small business owners listening to this, and they're thinking design. What's the number one thing you think they should think about first before they embark on that?
My advice would be to really hone in and understand your customer, because whether it's a marketing campaign or a new website or a new brand, if you don't know who you're, trying to connect with and speak to, a lot of that, budget and time and energy may not actually land where you want it to land if it's speaking to the wrong audience.
Wise advice.
Wise advice. So, Sarah, Cass, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
So,
you.
and it wasn't that bad. I know you were a little nervous, but it was easy and painless.
That was fun. Thank you.
No, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Cass. That was a great story, and I think it'll go over very well.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.